This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of their affiliated organizations.
Welcome back, everybody, to Ready to Connect. I am Lisa.
And I'm Ryan.
And unfortunately, Heather cannot be with us this week, but don't worry, she will be back. But we're going to be talking to an astrologer today. That's something I know nothing about.
Same here. Yeah.
Not a thing.
I'm excited to learn.
I'm excited to learn, too. I have a feeling that astrology is a lot more of a complicated topic than most might think, but we'll see what we can get from our special guest when we bring her on. But until then, Ryan, what you been up to?
Oh boy, let's see. Well, the other day it was nice. I got to take Watson out. My roommate and I, we took him out to a lake nearby, and he was able to see a lot of water for the first time ever.
Okay.
And he actually had a good time.
Did he put his toes in?
No. He wanted to. He walked up to it, but you could tell he was just slightly overwhelmed by everything.
Yeah.
You have different smells, different environment, but he did a really good job. Proud of him for actually going towards it, because this dog is petrified of water, even rain.
Do you know why?
He will not go out. I don't know. It's really bizarre, because when my roommate first got him, he was okay with baths and everything. But then all of a sudden, now he's even going outside to go to the bathroom if it's raining. No, he will quickly come in, or he'll just refuse to go out. So we're trying to get him desensitized and get him used to being around water.
Okay.
And then trying to get him to move forward. So it's a big step, going to the lake.
That is a big step.
And I have a picture that, yes, I got to remember to post it to our social media.
Yeah, I have pictures. I apologize to our listeners. I have pictures that were sent to me to post to the social media, and I have been slacking on that. But I have pictures of kites. I have pictures of a bird feeder with...
Oh, yeah.
And then our newest picture going up will be of Heather and I. We went to... So what's been happening with me is my daughter is now home from work, because she's a social worker in a school, so she's got the summer off, so she's home. So I'm no longer required or needed, I should say, to babysit on Tuesdays and Thursdays for my grandson. So my first day of non-babysitting was this past Thursday, and I, of course, was sad and missing him.
Yeah.
You get used to just, having this little soul just recognize you and get all excited for seeing you. And then when you don't get it, you're like, I need it.
Yeah.
So Heather took me and we went for a little ride. We went out to Rhode Island to Ninigret Park and to see the trolls, the two trolls there, which was a lot of fun. And we ended up in Mystic for lunch, and we stopped at a bookstore, which of course is always my favorite thing. Before coming back to do Psychic Circle, and it was a really great day. So I have pictures of Heather and I at the Trolls, which I will post.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fun. And then this past weekend was Father's Day, and had family over, and was able, and also we celebrated my younger son Kevin's birthday, which was yesterday. So yeah, it was another family time. So I got to see my grandson then and play, gonna get you. How was your weekend, by the way? Because you sent me a picture, which we should also post if you want. You were at a party.
Yes, yeah. So aside from Father's Day, I got to see family there. But yes, it was my youngest cousin, Luke. He just graduated high school, so we're all so proud of him for doing that. He's going on to bigger and better things in college. But so basically, long story short, in our family, a sign from our grandmother is feathers. And she always wanted the family to be together. And so it was great to be together as a whole family for this occasion, because we really haven't seen each other in a long time since our grandfather passed away. So we used to get together every single Sunday, but then that has since stopped, since now we don't get together like that anymore at his house. So our grandmother always loved everyone getting together, and this was just an excellent occasion to do so. And so I had this feeling of, hey, you know what? I would like to take a picture with Luke, especially because I'm so excited for him and so happy to be there. And so I had my aunt take the photo. And now, just to give some background story of this, the environment, it wasn't really that bright. So when you look at this photo, at first I thought, oh, is that just the sun reflecting or whatever? But in the lower right hand corner, you can see what looks like a feather of energy, and it was just so incredible. So yeah, we could probably post it. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
cool.
Pretty cool and unique.
Very unique. All right, so why don't we call in our guest that we have today, and that is Michelle Artemis. She is an astrologer and friend of Ryan's. So welcome to our podcast, Michelle.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I hope you're ready for all the questions that we're gonna bombard you with.
I think so.
Yeah. So Michelle, I've known you. I'm not gonna age us here. I've known you forever, but
that doesn't age you forever.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, for listeners out there, we've known each other since elementary school. That's a long time. But for those who are meeting you for the first time, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do?
Sure. I do a lot of different things. I am an astrologer, an aspiring librarian. I am a mom, and I teach an astrology class also. So I do a bunch of different things.
Okay, so my ears just perked up when you said aspiring librarian, because I'm a bookaholic, and I used to work in a library. Like, I can actually say how long ago, about 40 years past, when I was in college. I did summer work in my public library for the summer reading program.
Nice.
And so I've worked in libraries. I love books. So yeah, working in a library, that would be like, aside from a bookstore, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool to do. Anyway, that just worked. And you have children?
I have 4 children.
4?
Yeah.
Okay, so for our listeners who cannot see Michelle, and you'll have to Google her, but she looks all of 12. So 4 children. Wow. What are their ages?
19 for the oldest and almost 9 for the youngest.
19?
Wow.
19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my word. Okay.
This is why Ryan didn't want to age us.
Yeah.
He didn't want to.
Well, so then
right.
Afterwards, you're gonna have to give me your skin regimen so I can copy that one. That'd be good. Yeah. So we're actually really interested in you as an astrologer.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us a little bit of background? How did you become interested in astrology? Anybody influenced you? Did you have any mentors? All that kind of jazz.
Yeah. So I first got into it when my grandmother, who I barely knew my grandmother, but when she died, I inherited her astrology books. And I hadn't even realized before then that she was an astrologer. So I was like super excited. They were going to actually throw them out. And I was like, no, I want them. So, and then I got really into it. I just like went down the rabbit hole. And I studied for probably, almost 20 years on my own. And then I eventually was like, no, I need more. So I had a bunch of different teachers. Chris Brennan, who does the astrology podcast. I learned Hellenistic astrology with him. There's an astrologer based out of California, Gemini Brett, and I did my first reading with him. And then I did a bunch of one-on-one mentorship, and I joined his educational community that he has online. Helena Woods, I learned astrocartography from her, and zodiacal releasing, which is a old technique. And I did a year-long program with Annie Botticelli, who does more of like a modern Western style of astrology as well. I like to do all different styles and learn as many different ways of approaching it as possible. And then most recently, I was doing courses with Stephen Forrest, he's been around forever, but he does like evolutionary astrology. And I was learning that technique as well. So, yeah.
I didn't even realize there were styles to astrology.
Oh, there's so many different types. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your favorite? Or
That's
how do you like to approach your clients when they come for astrological advice and things like that?
Yeah. I mostly do, I would say that I really love the ancient Hellenistic techniques. I really like to work with a lot of those primarily. But I do incorporate some of the more modern things. Like I use the planets that have been, discovered, like Pluto and Neptune and Uranus. Like they didn't know about those back then. So I do use those planets. And I do think that like modern astrology is really great at approaching astrology, like from a like more like a psychological way of like trying to understand people's emotional expression of their chart and like how it makes them feel and all of that. And so I do try to do a little bit of both, but I really love the ancient stuff, and I think there's a lot of great techniques and predictive stuff, and yeah, it's fun.
Okay. And do you find that because of all the studying you've done with astrology, do you take it into your own personal life? Does it affect your decision making
Oh yeah.
daily, or I mean,
Yeah.
like how do
Yeah,
you
for
use it
sure.
within your own in your own daily life?
So I'm kind of like a research nerd. So I track all of my daily transits, and I journal, and I try to see like how things are working out, just because I want to see like I love when other wiser astrologers tell me this is how it should work out, but I want to see it in my own life. So I use myself as a guinea pig. But then I'll like, if for example, if when I was applying to grad school, I tried to time the application just right using astrology. Like I came up with it's called electional astrology, and you can use it to time things well. So I did that for applying to grad school, for applying to a job recently. And so that was one concrete way that I use it. I also, if I see really like powerful transits coming up, or really even like ones that look like they could be challenging, I try to think of like what's the most positive way this could manifest, and then I like actively work to try to make that be what happens. So if I see something health related coming up, I'm going to be like, you know what I would really like for that transit to be about is about like me getting really serious about exercising and taking care of myself. And so I do that consciously. And then I think like, I don't actually know how much control I have. Like, I hope that we have some control over what happens, but the best I can do is try to prepare for the difficult things by, trying to make the good stuff happen, if that makes sense.
So I don't know much about astrology, so we're going to
Okay.
treat me as someone who's really
Sure.
ignorant. And when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
say transit, is that like short
Yeah.
for transition?
I was gonna
No, so transits are so you have your birth chart, which is basically like a moment in time and space that's just like frozen still when you were born. And then what transits are they are the planets which are constantly moving, interacting with your birth chart. And so every day you have countless transits happening to your birth chart. And so there's like different techniques to figure out like which ones to pay the most attention to on any given day. But like, for example, some planets move really, really slowly. So you might only get one transit from like Pluto to your sun in your entire life. And other planets move really quickly. So like the moon goes around your entire chart every single month. And so there's like all these different transits constantly happening. And that's really just, that's like where the change is. That's how you see like how things unfold. And that's how you figure out timing and all of that with astrology.
Hey everybody, love Ready to Connect? Become a Patreon supporter for $1 a month, and that'll earn you a shout out or a credit roll.
Love Ready to Connect? Why not support us with a Ready to Connect enthusiast tier? For $5 a month, you get exclusive content as well as power voting on our next topics, in addition to everything you get as a Ready to Connect supporter.
If you love Ready to Connect and you want to become a Ready to Connect insider for $10 a month, in addition to everything that you'll get in the other two tiers, you will also get a chance to be a guest on our podcast. All tiers, no matter how you choose to support Ready to Connect, you will be getting the podcast episodes a day early.
Thanks for supporting us.
Okay. So, all right, another silly question.
Yeah.
Astrology is a study of planetary movement and how it affects your life. Is that like a
Yeah. I think
watered
that's a
down
good
version
start. Yeah.
definition? Because now I'm going back to like exactly
What is astrology?
astrology
Yeah,
because
the
there's so many
foundation.
different,
Yeah.
like, so
The study
I
of the
guess when
heavens.
you mentioned birth chart, right? So
Yes,
I understand that.
Mhm.
I remember someone wanting to look at my birth chart and they need to know the exact time I was born. All
Yes,
that,
I do.
like you couldn't just say the day; you'd have to say the exact time and all that
Yes.
stuff. And
Yep.
so, if you have that birth chart,
Mhm.
what are you hoping that tells you? I mean, what can
It can tell you tons of things. So you can look at it as in like a modern Western framework, it would be like you broken down to different facets of your personality, and you would look at the chart through that like sort of personality driven, psychological driven kind of framework. I do think that there is weight to that and there's value to that. I primarily look at it through a Hellenistic framework, which basically in your chart, you can see not only yourself, you can see different areas of your life, you can see the other people in your life. It's all there. You can look at it to see like what you would be ideally suited at for career. You can look at it to see like what your parents would probably like, your experiences with your parents, what areas of your life are more difficult or easier or will be, because, you know, obviously your chart is still unfolding. You can see things about relationships, friends, romantic relationships, like anything really. And then there's some astrologers that only do health astrology, medical astrology. Like that's not my thing. So I always try to like send people to somebody who's like an expert at that if they ask. But yeah, some astrologers just focus on medical astrology, and some just focus on past lives. I mean, there's like there's so many branches of astrology.
My mind is blown because as
Yeah.
a psychic medium, I relate this to like you can look at someone's birth chart and you can tell as much or if not as more that as I could with someone just walking through the door and connecting to their energy and their guides, really.
Yeah, it's like with astrology, it's kind of like the more you learn, the more you realize that you'll never know everything. Like there's just always more you could be learning, which I try to do. But like, I think, you know, it comes to a point where you have to be like, I cannot master every single thing you could do with astrology, because you can do an infinite amount of things almost.
That's true.
Okay.
That's a good point.
So someone new to astrology, if I wanted to start understanding astrology for myself, where do I begin?
I think it depends on the person, the individual person, like how they learn best. But like I learned from books. So if somebody else like me wanted to learn from books to start with, like there's a couple really good ones for beginners. There's You Were Born for This by Chani Nichols. That's a really good one. And then there is one called Astrology Using the Wisdom of the Stars in Your Everyday Life. I think that's the subtitle. I know it's called Astrology and it's by Carol Taylor. And those are both really good. But like not everyone likes learning from books. So there's also the astrology podcast that covers everything from like they have hundreds of episodes. So like some of them are really basic, like all about what particular zodiac sign, or all about how do you first look at a chart. And then some of it's like a lot more complex. If people like to learn in person, like trying to find an astrology class local to you. I mean, like I said, I'm teaching one in Vernon, but you know, for people elsewhere, like trying to find a teacher locally, or just trying to getting your chart read by a professional. Like I put that off way longer than I should have. And when I finally did it, I was like, wow, I'm learning so much from you in such a short period of time, especially if you find an astrologer who enjoys teaching and you can approach it that way and be like, what I really want from this is for you to like show me, how do I look at my chart, and try to have that kind of framework. Because astrologers will do whatever you want during a consultation. Like you can be like, just all I want to talk about is career, or teach me stuff, you know? So, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good to know. Let's see. Well, you already explained what a birth chart is, so that's good. Thank you. Crossing that question off the list.
Yeah, there's the other chart here.
And which one was that? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you mentioned charts. So what is a natal chart, and what can it reveal about a person's strengths and challenges?
Yeah. Natal chart's just another word for birth chart.
Okay, that's what we were wondering
about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've heard birth chart and I've also heard natal chart. So maybe that's two separate charts.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing. But I mean, it can, like I said, it can basically tell you anything about your strengths and challenges. And also it's kind of like with any given placement in your chart, there is a range of how that can be manifested. And like astrologers debate whether or not that's like from your own free will, or whether it's, fate combined with environmental factors combined with this. Now, like, who knows how much control we really have over it, but there does seem to be a range over, like, somebody could have a very similar placement to somebody else, and one person expresses it in a really healthy, productive way, and another person expresses it in a way that is more destructive or, unhelpful in some way. So you can't just look at a chart without talking to a person. You can't just look at a chart and be like, I've got this person figured out, because like it's way too complicated, and context matters and free will matters, whatever amount of it we have. And So like one thing astrologers will throw around is like, Hitler's chart looks surprisingly peaceful. And it's like, okay, but obviously, that's not lining up with reality. So then you have to really dig into it and you have to look at his life story and see like, oh yeah, but this placement could have been really nice, but then it ended up manifesting in this kind of darker way that is also a possibility, So it's kind of like I took a workshop once with this astrologer. He's also like a professor in Canada, I believe, Richard Tarnas. And he said that the birth chart is an infinitely complex poem and that you should have it interpreted by as many different people as possible because everyone's going to have their own way of looking at it and their own take. And you can only learn more and that you could never know everything that you need to know about a particular chart. So I don't know if that answered the question, but yeah, it can show pretty much anything about strengths and challenges.
Wow.
You mentioned free will, and I know when I do readings for people, psychic readings, or even if they just want tarot cards flipped or whatever, there's always that part of a reading where you say you maintain your free will. I can see different pathways for you, but you maintain free will to make your choice over which one you want to go with, or if you want to even, accept advice from your guides or whatever. Is that basically the same kind of role free will plays in astrology? Like you look at their chart and you can see different scenarios and the person maintains that free will?
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't think that any astrologer should be telling people you need to do this, you should do this. Like you can, say like this might work out well for you based on what I'm seeing, but choice is yours. I try to look at what I'm seeing and offer like kind of the range, like this particular placement, it could show up and this could be a sign that you would be really good at XYZ. If you don't learn to integrate different energies, sometimes they come out in a more negative way, or you'll if you don't learn how to work with a part of yourself and you kind of suppress it and don't find healthy outlets for it, then you might find yourself in situations that end up expressing a negative aspect of that particular placement, if that makes sense. So I will try to guide people towards finding within a range of helpful possibilities. You need to find some way to learn how to work with this energy, and here are some options, but it's up to you ultimately. I still don't know. I wrestle constantly with how much free will we actually have, but I think it's important to act as though we do have free will. If I use astrology to plan a very particular time that I want to apply for a job, for example, and every time I try, something happens that stops me from doing it. And I'll just be like, how much control did I actually have over that situation that I planned out so, perfectly? But I still think it's important to live as though we do have control, just so we can, try to make a difference.
I agree with you too. When it comes to free will, I know that if someone, let's say, comes to me for a reading and you give what you're picking up on, they do something with their own free will, they come back, it does change the energy around them, so it does change what the reading will be next. So if someone makes a certain choice, does their chart stays the same though, right? A birth chart's a birth chart. So how does that free will manipulate or show you a different change, or does it?
That's why it's so hard with astrology, because every placement in your chart represents, not only does it represent different possibilities, but it represents different realities all at once. So you can have one planet in a particular place in your chart, and that means one thing at one point in your life. It means another thing at another point in your life. It's there is no one set interpretation for any particular part of a birth chart. There's countless. And so the best thing an astrologer can do is try to get as much context from the other person that they're reading for to try to narrow down to this is the most likely scenario of what's going on, or to look at past transits and be well, last time Jupiter was, on your sun 12 years ago or whatever, this is what happened. So what's going on in your life right now that's similar to that? And maybe we could kind of prepare you, for this potential opportunity or whatever. So it's not a sure thing, I see it working all the time. And I'm constantly shocked by how well it works. But any astrologer online who claims this will happen to you on this date if your sun is in this sign, they're full of crap. That's just not how it works, So it's really complicated and multi-layered, and you kind of have to work with the person coming to you for a consultation to sort of narrow down to the most likely scenarios.
I would think I imagine you counsel people about relationships and things
Oh
like
yeah.
that, just like we
Yeah.
get questions
That's a
like the
big
love
one. Yeah.
question. But I would imagine it would stand to reason, like if you're talking about relationships, that's more than one person involved. And so it's not just my free will, but it'd be the free will of the other person as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Right.
And I have no control over their free will. So yeah,
Right.
it's,
Yeah,
wow.
whenever
So
I do a relationship reading, I always start by looking at the person who's coming to me. I look at their chart first and I say, like, we need to look at your chart and how relationships show up because really, that's all you have control over. You know what I mean? Like, is
Right.
how you act in a relationship and what you choose for yourself. And like, yes, we'll look at the other person's chart and we'll look how they interact and we'll see, like, do you have really different communication styles or fighting styles or, what's the timing like for each of you? Does it show up that each of you is like looking at like, I don't know, some kind of a hardship in relationships, and you guys should probably prepare yourselves and all of that. But ultimately, yeah, you only have control over yourself in a relationship, and it can't work if both people aren't trying. So,
It's true.
it's true. So it seems like if a couple comes to you to have you, look at their charts, or it's going to be way more in depth than those like compatibility, websites or paragraphs that you find
yeah.
online. So that's
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
I
Especially
mean, the
'cause-
best that those can do is like break it down piece by piece. They can't
Yeah.
integrate it into one whole.
right.
So,
Interesting.
Okay, so I have sort of an interesting question. Growing up, and I'm the oldest one here in the podcast, so, being 60 something aged, back in the day when we actually got newspapers to the house and would actually touch them and read them, as a teenager, the first place we would go would be the horoscopes. And we would read our horoscope and we would take that as if it was Bible of what's to happen kind of thing. And I look at horoscopes now, a little more wiser, as being more for, excuse my French, but shits and giggles, haha, kind of like entertainment. Horoscopes are different than what a professional astrologer does, right?
yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
where do horoscopes fit in, or do they in professional astrology?
So I will say that there are some astrologers I really respect that will write horoscopes. And I think that the way they generally approach it is to say, you really need to be basing this off of your rising sign, not your sun sign. Because your rising sign will tell you, and you need to know your birth time for that. And not everyone knows their rising sign. So right away, it limits the number of people that are going to benefit from this. But if you know your rising sign, then you know where so I'm sorry, I'm going to rewind. So the birth chart is split into like, it looks like a pie and it has like 12 different segments, like 12 pieces of the pie. And they're called houses. And each house represents a different area of your life, different topics in your life. And if you know your rising sign, which is the first house, then you know the signs of all the different houses in your chart. And the astrologer will know, that's writing the horoscope, that will know that like if you have, I don't know, let's say, we'll say you have Aquarius rising, then they would know right off the bat that Gemini is where Uranus is, that causes change, disruptions. And if you have Aquarius rising, that's going to be happening in your house of children and creativity. So they can right off the bat say something kind of generic, but less generic than you might expect based on how you're probably over the next several years going to be experiencing, change or disruption there. But in a daily horoscope, they might focus more on the moon and where the moon is and all that. So with the rising sign, you can say things that are likely to be true. The only problem is there needs to be that caveat of like, it depends on your birth chart, because like if you also have Mars there, then that's also activating Mars, and not everybody that has Aquarius rising is going to have Mars there. And so it's really like, you can only get so accurate, and any like legit forecast for the day or the month has to at least warn you that this is generic, based on your rising sign, and does not take into consideration where your natal placements are, which will change things or shift them. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So I guess I equate that a little bit to what I do. Like if I flip a tarot card for everybody and post it, this is the tarot card for the day, take it into your life, how it might thing. For some people, it hits, right? And for others, it's like, well, no, because I'm not in that kind of situation, I guess,
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
take it for what it is, I suppose, right?
Just take it with a grain of salt.
The more people you're aiming it at, the less specific you can be.
That is very
True.
true. So then it becomes more of an entertainment thing too, right?
Yeah.
We look up our
Yeah.
horoscopes and
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, horoscopes are a little bit more specific because it is based on like your astrological sign, right?
So like in the newspaper or something like that, it's based on your sun sign. So they're really just trying to focus on what's going on in relationship to that sign, assuming that it's going to be very important to you because your sun is there. But if you are somebody with your sun in a particular sign and it's in a house that is kind of one of the less prominent houses in the chart, and maybe you have a whole stellium of planets in another more prominent area of your chart, maybe your sun doesn't affect your life as much as it does for somebody else. And in that case, the horoscope is probably not going to ring as true. If you're somebody whose sun in their chart is super strong, like if you're Leo rising, your sun rules your chart, like probably the daily horoscope is going to feel a little more accurate because that sun is so powerful. But that's not always the case. Like it is important, but some people's charts are leaning more heavily to another part of the chart than where the sun is.
So this is how, I guess, when you look at somebody and say, well, they're a Libra, but they don't act like a Libra.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think usually when you see somebody, what you first experience is likely to be their rising sign more than their sun sign.
Okay. And the sun sign is the astrological sign hooked to your birthday, correct?
Yeah. So a certain time of year would be equating to the sun in a particular sign. Yeah.
Right, so my
And then
sun
the
sign
rising
would be
sign
Libra.
changes every couple of hours.
Mine would be Libra because I was born October 2nd, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you are
I'm Capricorn.
okay. All right.
And I take that seriously.
Do you?
But the rising sign is why you need to know the birth time, because the rising sign changes every couple of hours, even less for some of the signs. Some signs move faster than others. And the degree of the rising sign changes every few minutes. So it really does matter what time you were born for figuring out that part of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's really detailed
Yeah.
and more on the number aspect than I thought. It's like it's not a astrology isn't this sort of, willy-nilly kind of thing. It is very much steeped in like
it's like
it breaks my brain
detail and
complicated.
All right. Well, before we move off zodiac signs,
Yes.
Ryan and I were talking before recording the podcast and about zodiac signs, and we were curious to know if there's any zodiac sign you think gets unfair criticism or a bad rep.
Yeah.
We thought this was a good question to ask.
I have my own thoughts about which sign I would say would get like criticized a lot.
I know.
I was kind of torn between two when I was thinking about it. I think they all do, though. To be fair, I think there's negative stereotypes associated with all of them. But
wait a minute. I've not heard anything negative about a Libra.
I have indecisive.
Oh, now the truth's coming out. Okay. All right. Here we're ready for this.
No, I've heard. One of the first books I read, one of my grandmother's books, was "What's Wrong with Your Sun Sign." It was kind of a joke book, but it was like all like the negative stereotypes about all the signs.
Oh, really?
And as an angsty teenager, I just loved it. I thought it was so funny.
Okay, I'm going to tell you the one I think it's a bad rep.
Maybe
and he'll tell you his. I think it's Scorpio. I think a lot of people think Scorpios are angry, hard to deal with people.
See, usually I think the stereotype of Scorpio is that it's secretive and controlling. And I think that is because Scorpio is kind of here to learn how to fully trust. And if somebody that is here to do that isn't really like learning that and practicing that, then they can get kind of closed off and try to control everything around them, try to, protect themselves by being secretive. But it doesn't have to work out that way. But I do think that there's kind of that dark, like undertone that's associated with Scorpio. And I think part of it too is that in modern astrology, they associate Scorpio with Pluto. And I think people are a little wary of Pluto sometimes. And it's like associations with power struggles and all of that. But I was going to say Scorpio or I was going to say Gemini. Those were my top two that I was thinking. Gemini, because you
got both of them.
Yeah.
I was going to say Gemini.
I think those are the top two that people really like to give a hard time. And I think with Gemini, especially now with like Donald Trump being president, but I think that people say, about Gemini, you can't trust anything they say. Like, that they change their mind so much they can't stick to something. And I'm Gemini rising, so I can say all this, yeah. But you can't trust them because they're always changing their mind and all of that. There are these episodes on the astrology podcast. I might just be one episode called Unshaming the Sun Signs, I think. And he had a guest on there, and her whole spiel basically was like, what do people say about each sign that's negative and difficult, and like how can we reframe that as a strength? Like if people say Taurus is really picky, well, maybe Taurus just knows exactly what they like, and like reframing it like that. Or like maybe Gemini isn't like inconstant and like sort of flighty, but maybe Gemini is just like endlessly fascinated by the world and just like follows their wonder, and so it's kind of an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, that sounds
or like with
interesting.
Scorpio, they can be dark and they can be kind of depressing, but maybe that's because they've been through hard things and they're not afraid to look at that part of life. Like maybe other people should be more willing to recognize that there are hard things in life, so but yeah, no, Gemini and Scorpio do both get
A bad rap. So I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
okay.
I want to know the dark part of a Libra, because all I've ever heard about Libra is we like to keep the peace.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when people are trying to criticize Libra, then and this isn't coming from me, I don't think any sign is bad, that they would focus on the fact that sometimes in trying to keep the peace, you might not know how to speak up for yourself, or you might not be willing to make a decision because you don't want to disrupt the peace and you don't want to have to be the one to choose and things
That's
like
fair.
that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
So what about a Capricorn?
yeah, what's the dark side? Oh, we're putting you on the spot.
Working
Yeah.
yourself to death, which you already knew,
Oh,
Ryan,
yeah.
right?
Working yourself to death? Is that-
Yeah.
Yeah, just constant work.
Yes.
Always feeling like it's never enough and you have to do more work.
Yes. Exactly.
You hit it. I think you got us there.
And then we might be psychic, by the way,
We might be.
because we picked up on both of the signs.
Might be. Yeah. Yeah. If you could clear up one misconception or myth about astrology, which would you pick? What would you pick? What do you think is a misconception
I
people
think
have?
just that it's simple. Like, I think that people really do think it's simple, that all you need to know is the sun sign, or even like now, sometimes people will be like, what's your big three, meaning sun, moon, and rising sign. And they think that's all you need to know, but it's not. Like, you need to know, where is your sun in your chart? Where is your moon in your chart? Are they in aspect with any other planets? Where is your Mercury, your Mars, your Venus, like all of that. And like, I think that there is unfortunately an issue with social media where people will just say these like really dramatic, very simplified statements about astrology to get people's attention. But then it gives the wrong idea of how astrology actually works, because it's not simple in any way. So that's what I would like to hear.
Yeah, what I'm learning here from you is that it's way more in depth than I ever thought. I mean, I know you and I, we've had numerous conversations off air here about astrology, and it's just incredible. I feel like I learned so much each time, and even just this conversation alone, it's just amazing. So it's not just 3 signs, it's a lot more.
Oh yeah.
So what's the most surprising thing you've learned through studying astrology?
Surprising thing I've learned. It's probably the way that there are so many different techniques, and some astrologers are expert at one technique or another, and nobody uses all the techniques because you couldn't possibly, like, there's just too much. Because we're talking like a couple thousand years of history here. So like, more than that. So there's just so many different ways you can approach astrology. And what fascinates me and what I've been really surprised to learn is how like different astrologers can take totally different techniques and still reach similar conclusions about something. And that like you'll see the same thing show up regardless of how you approach it. And so what I like to do when I'm doing a reading is try to use, a handful of the techniques that I find to be the most reliable. And if they all agree with each other, then I'm like, yeah, I feel really confident saying this, But I just think it's really cool to see how many different ways you can practice astrology, and there is no one right way to do it.
I get that. We talk about that with our classes for psychic development, that there is no one perfect way that any psychic medium approaches a reading. We're all very different. But yet, like myself and our other co-host, Heather, who isn't here today for the interview, if we do a reading together, we often pick up on different things, but yet the message is still the same.
Right.
That the person needs to hear. So
Yeah.
doesn't matter which way you attack it. if it's truly and right, it's going to be the same message that they get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really interesting. I want to go back though to the misconceptions a little bit.
Hmm.
I'm sure you've run across it, maybe even with students in your classroom, those skeptics who maybe are not, or even just in, someone, what do you do? I'm an astrologer. Oh, well, woo, 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 that kind of thing. Ooh, kind of thing. What do you say to the skeptics about astrology, or do you even bother?
So like online, I won't bother to engage. It's not even worth it to me. But like in person, if it's somebody that I know like genuinely wants to have a conversation, or I don't care if they want to and I want to talk to them about it anyway because they brought it up. Um, in those situations, I usually just focus on the fact that like at heart, I consider myself a skeptic. Like when an astrologer tells me like this is how you should do this thing, it works. I try it out before I use it. Like I'm practicing based on the things that I have personally tested and found to work. And like I don't know why astrology works. Like it probably shouldn't work. Like it's constantly challenging my beliefs about the universe and making me think that like how could everything work out to such a like particular degree and be so accurate. It's almost like everything's already unfolded or everything's already designed. I don't know, it's very confusing to me, but it does work. And that's what I would say. Like I mean, I've tried it and it works, and like from what I can see, most people who are skeptical don't actually know anything about astrology. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson, famous
Yes, yes,
scientist, very
yeah.
cool guy, right? Except when it comes to astrology, because he will not learn about it before just like shutting it down. And astrologers have tried to have like reasonable conversations about it with him, because it's clear he doesn't understand the basics or like the philosophies or anything. I'm not interested. And it's like, well, then you can't say it doesn't work. You haven't even heard how people are using it, or you know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
um I would generally just say like, if you're not willing to like learn it enough to try it out yourself, then you shouldn't really probably be speaking on it.
I would agree with that. I would think that most people who come to see you who have never seen an astrologer before probably walk out saying, "Oh my God, I didn't really think that would be what happened." We get that with our readings, or even if we're teaching. The Probably the most eye-opening thing is to watch a student learn how to use a pendulum for the first time, and when that thing swings for them, they're like, "Oh my God, you weren't actually swinging it yourself because here I am doing it, right?" So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's yeah, it's probably about the same. Yeah, so you have people that will come to see you for an astrological session or a reading.
Yeah. I usually do them over Zoom, but yeah.
What do you find to be the most rewarding part of your work?
If you like what you're hearing and want to check out more podcasts from Artist Haven Media, or are interested in recording a podcast at our studio, find out more information by visiting our website at artisthavenmedia.com.
I would say probably when people are coming to me and they're like really hesitantly bringing up this kind of dream or goal they have, but they're like almost afraid to even say it because they're like, oh, I probably can't do that. And then I can look at their chart and be like, no, it looks perfect for you. Like kind of like amp them up and like get them excited and like show them like you do have these potentials in your chart. Because honestly, that's what happened for me when I had my first reading, and I was like, I kind of want to be an astrologer. And he was like, your chart is perfect for that. And then just like talked me through it. And I was like, this is amazing. And that's kind of what I want to do for other people, show them like how their chart shows that they have these hidden strengths and potentials, and it kind of gives you courage to be like, oh, well, I mean, it's in my chart, like I might be afraid to do it, but I can do it because the chart supports that, so that's what I like to do for people, give them hope, inspiration.
Here's a question I have. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm talking over you. I don't mean to be doing that, Ryan, but he's about ready to say something like, wait, I have a question.
No, it's enlightening, so
yeah.
no worries.
Are there certain aspects of a person's life or questions that people have if they want to go? What are some great instances for people to seek out an astrologer for? Like, people will often seek a psychic medium when they're grieving and they want to connect with somebody they've lost, or maybe they have a choice ahead. A lot of times graduates want to know the best choice ahead for them. They'll seek a psychic out for that.
Right.
What are some really great instances or life situations that you as an astrologer could really have a good impact for?
So Probably the top ones that I personally see would be relationship readings when people are either their relationship is struggling, or even more often what I see is people they're like engaged and they're going to get married and they're like, what should we work on? Like, what should we be like aware of as like potential struggles or things like that? Like, what would be good timing for us to like buy a house or this and that? So I'll do those. There's also something called solar return readings, which is you have a chart every year for your year. It's kind of complicated, so I won't explain it, but there is like a chart that shows like the themes and the events of the upcoming year. And so a lot of people will come like on their birthday to get a reading for the year ahead, just to see like what to expect, where they might, you know, be wisest to put most of their energy, because it looks like an area where they can make a lot of progress. Other things would be I do astrocartography, which is like locational reading. It's you have like a map that has like different planetary lines across the world, and so people who are looking to relocate will come for an astrocartography reading so that they can kind of narrow down like, oh, I was thinking about moving to Europe, but I don't know where in Europe would be best for my career, and then I can kind of look at the map. Or timing too.
Yeah.
Electional astrology like helps people pick the right time to do something. So somebody is applying for citizenship, or they are looking to get married and they want like the best date, and then I, you know, working within whatever framework they have, I find like the best date within that range for them.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But most people come because they're like, I don't understand what my purpose is. Why is everything bad? Like, help me. And then I'm just really there for reassurance and like, you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. This transit looks really hard, but it's going to end. And, you know.
We get that too. Just gonna
Yeah.
say, we
Yeah.
get that too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
What else got?
So I guess you can say it's all written in the stars. That's what it seems like.
Oh, you've just been waiting to say
I've
that
been waiting
line.
to say that the whole time.
Great on your face.
This
Perfect
is the old man
timing.
in me. Anyway, so what exciting projects, classes, readings, or offerings do you have coming up? Anything exciting on the horizon?
Yeah, so I'm going to be teaching my Intro to Astrology class again this fall through the Town of Vernon Continuing Education Department. And I am also, I mean, I'm still doing consultations online. I have an Etsy store where I do like pre-recorded readings, which aren't as ideal because don't get that back and forth dialogue. So the best I can do is be like, you know, here's a range of possibilities, but feel free to reach out after and we'll discuss it if you want to give me more context. But some people are shy. They don't want to get on camera, or our schedules don't line up or whatever. So I'm still doing those. But recently I started offering 5 sliding scale readings a month for people who find the prices to be challenging. So that's a new thing that I'm offering.
Explain that a little bit.
Yeah.
Explain
So
that.
I'm just allowing up to 5 readings a month. I'm just allowing people to reach out to me. I don't have a set price. It's basically like they email me and then they let me know like this is what I could afford to give. And then I mean, I'm pretty much always just going to be like, sure. You know, and it's almost just like it's based on like they could just like tip me basically. You know, I just want to give back. Astrology, it's like it's becoming, as a field, it's becoming very expensive. And I understand it because so much goes into it, and it's really expensive to get all the training and to do all the courses and to really study it, and like the readings themselves take time and the prep work takes time. And so like I'm not saying that the readings shouldn't be pricey, because I feel like I'm justified in what I charge, and I feel like other astrologers that charge way more than me, they're also justified, you know. But I still want other people to be able to get readings too, even if you don't have a lot of money. So that's why it's kind of like what I'm trying to do is just offer a little bit, you know.
So your beginning course that you offer through the Vernon Regional Adult-Based Education,
Yeah.
How long is that course? Is that like a 2-hour class? Is it a
Yeah, so I did it in the spring for 1-hour classes. It was the first time I offered it, and I loved it so much, but it wasn't long enough. So now in the fall, I'm going to be doing 2-hour classes. I can't remember. I don't remember if it was 8 weeks. I think it was 8 weeks, 2-hour classes. And I'm hoping that will be more time because, you know, people walk in there expecting astrology to be simple, and then they're kind of like, whoa, you know, there's a lot to learn. So I think that more time would be helpful. Time to review what we did the week before and time to kind of slow down a little bit. So
that's a beginning class. And do you offer privately if somebody wants to go further, or you just do the intro part?
Yeah, I would if someone reached out. I don't have it like on my website or anything. I mean, my eventual goal is to create some kind of an online course, but I just haven't gotten there yet. That takes a lot of time.
Okay. All right. So, where can our listeners connect with you? How can they? What's your contact information? Give us all your details.
Yeah, so my website is michelleartemis.net. So MICHELLEARTEMIS.net. And on there, there's all my socials and my email and all that on my Etsy store. But it's been a while since I've made videos on YouTube, but my goal is to get back into it because I'm trying to make like educational astrology videos and put them on YouTube. And that's just at Michelle Artemis. But I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I think I'm on all of the Threads, Blue Sky, but I just don't post very often. I just you only have time for so much. And I'm like learning, teaching, and doing consultations. So I have very little time left over social media, but hopefully someday.
4 kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. But yeah. So
do you have a birth chart on all of them? You must.
Oh yeah. I try not to overanalyze it. Any of them, I try not to. You could go down a hole with that.
Okay, all right.
I mean, if I had the ability, I would be analyzing all that like every day.
Yeah. You'll drive yourself nuts, and then you'll realize, wait a second, I need to take a step back.
He'd be a little obsessive with it.
A little bit.
A little bit. Anyway, well, thank you for being here with us, Michelle. We really do appreciate
thank you
it.
For having me.
For all our listeners, do look up michelleartemis.net for all your astrological needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And until next time, get ready to connect.
Thank you for tuning in to Ready to Connect. If you're interested in exclusive behind-the-scenes content, be sure to like, share, and follow us on social media by searching for Ready to Connect Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And for those looking to further support our podcast, consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/readytoconnectpodcast. And until next time, get ready to connect.